What's up, everybody? long time. Happy full spring equinox supermoon coming up here down in South Florida. It's been a while. Weather has not been clement lately, and the back porch is still occupied with stuff. So, but I wasn't gonna let a full moon pass us by without trying to stream, and thankfully it's clearing up. A really pretty shot behind the tree. Got even a little shot of the bugs going around, going wild. Let me know if you can see and hear everything all right. Just gonna let it clear the tree line and then switch over to a clearer shot of the moon. But really beautiful. Hope everybody's been doing well. Just jumping in the chat room here. Start at the top. What's going on? Andrew, what's up? Kenneth, what's up? Nana, what's going on? Christy, what's up? Mary, nice to see you. What's up? Option Zero O'Neill, how are you? Welcome. What's up, Michael? Bowl is loaded. Hell yeah. Really cool shot behind the clouds. I can see it all. It's like one thick layer of black clouds as it was rising, but I think it'll get clear in like a few minutes. How's everyone feeling tonight? How's the weather in your part of the world? Hope you're gonna get a shot of the moon in real time, all of you loonies. Just time screams by. Last stream I was doing back in February, I was like, oh yeah, now I'm back on it. I'm gonna write some tunes, start posting all the time, and then 3 weeks go by and you're like, what? How'd that happen? But everything feels like it happens for a reason, not entirely. I'm sure we have a little bit of choice thrown in, but pretty much things work out the way they should. All right, let's clear up this shot of the moon. All right, a little sharpness right there. Very still, dark cloud. It almost looks like a photo. It's crazy. Yo, what's happening? Small, squishy, so pretty. Michael says, rain all day. Now some clearing here in North Cali. Shout out North Cali. So I guess got a couple of, let's see, some stats. So moon's at full right now, full phase, 99.8% illuminated, coming up at 23 degrees altitude, due east right now, and apparently it is a rare supermoon, which coincides with the spring equinox. I think, what is it, 19-year cycle? Or just it hasn't happened in 19 years where it coincides with the full moon. It's also the last supermoon of this year. And that's the first drop of the evening. This remote has seen many a better night. All right, look at that, got all clear. Alright, got that adjusted right there. Real beautiful. Michael says, cool if you catch a transit ... thing tonight. Yeah, it would be nice. Saw some planes passing earlier, but I missed it. It was still too cloudy. But we'll see. We shall see. Yo, thanks, Kenneth. Mary says, 70F, slightly cloudy, sun setting in Texas Hills. Shout outs to Texas. Mary, hope you've been doing well. Yo, what's up, UFO Phenomena? TakeBackSpace TV. Everybody's doing that TV thing now. I feel like I had a premonition about that. Just make sure, because this is the new television, the new medium for disseminating information. Been watching some cool videos of late. Found this interesting channel called Dissident Science. It's a really small channel. It's got like a couple of thousand subscribers. And I think it's David D. Hilster who does the show. And he's a quirky dude, but very clever, and just talking about some very interesting ways to approach all the different theories and to just accept that there are just a lot of different theories about the world right now, shape of the earth, conspiracies and stuff, and it's really important to create a dialogue and to speak to one another respectfully. So it's almost directly out of something I would say on my show. So if you want to check it out, Dissident Science. I'm sure some people will find him a little bit kind of off-putting at first, but if you give him a chance, he's doing these live streams and he's taking questions, and I don't know. Check it out. Yo, what's up there, Anthony? What's up there, Daryl? How you doing? Nice to see you, Anthony and Daryl. Cosmic Confusion. Cosmic says, hey, new to the channel, what do you think of the lunar wave? So if you're new to the channel, please check out some of my archive videos. And I have some videos of the lunar wave that were captured on stream, so like 2 or 3 different examples in one of the playlists. And you can kind of see what do I think about it. I think it's a really interesting phenomenon that is a real thing. I don't think it's camera related, and I'm pretty sure it's not airplane turbulence trail related. Could it be like some sort of sonar or some sort of electromagnetic like aberration in the atmosphere? That it could be that. Could be something else. But certainly something lots of people have captured it. And there's even a video I have in one of my playlists with a Jupiter wave where it's the same type of effect where a double wave passes, creating a very sharp line in the image. So if you want to check that out, those are my thoughts on it. One way or another, it's really hard to determine because it's so fast, and it's one of these things that is a bit of a trigger for some people. They're really convinced that it's airplane trails, and that's fine. But yeah, pretty fascinating. Lots of the stuff, the transits as well, and the different types of, I guess, transits, UFOs. I call them UFOs because they're just unidentified, but there are all these really interesting things that pass in front of the moon that are highly debatable as to what they are. What's up there, Mark Rowe? Good to see you, man. What's up, what's up? All right, so I'm gonna hit record on this, start getting some footage. Couldn't ask for a better shot right now. Oh, come on, memory card, cooperate. There we go. Cosmic Confusion says, do you think it's Earth's atmosphere or Moon's atmosphere? So I think in terms of the lunar wave, I think that is very likely something in the Earth's atmosphere. And if you look up some articles about the Earth's atmosphere, it actually extends quite far out, even beyond the moon, in fact, to the tune of like 320,000 kilometers out. So the Earth's magnetosphere and atmosphere actually interact with the lunar atmosphere and electromagnetic shell. So it could be kind of the interaction between the two magnetic fields. That's a possibility. But yeah, it seems like it's something that happens in our magnetic field. Got a little cloud moving in. Yeah, I was gonna play a few jams as the moon kind of rises. Let's do it. Why not? Haven't done it in a while. Pretty rusty, but we shall go. Ooh, cool clouds. Daryl says the moon doesn't have an atmosphere worth mentioning. Yeah, that's one way to put it, but I think it is definitely interesting that the moon has an atmosphere at all, considering, you know, the numbers around how old it is and how it's been bombarded with solar radiation for so long. But I feel like even a very slight atmosphere is worth pointing out, just because it does affect how we view the surface of the moon. I feel like there is this thing called off-gassing, where there are certain parts of the moon that kind of shine more brightly than others, and that seems to me something with to do with the moon's atmosphere, actually. So that's my thoughts. It's gonna play some clouds, so try and play something really new. To get me right, just a hit of that and I'll go on, taking till the night has come and go. Give me the truth and I'll go home, raving about the world but nothing's wrong, just a hit of whiskey till I go home. Dance until the morning plays my song. It's all mine, like a sweet star calling you. It's all so alive. Making some stuff up. Oh, give me a hit of love and I'll go on. A really sincere hook to get me right. Just a hit of that and I'll go on. Oh, just talking till the night has come and go. Oh, just give me some love and I'll go on. hit of love and I'll come back to life again. Sleep tonight and we'll go home. Dance until the morning comes along. Oh, dance until the morning comes along. Alright, that's something I've been working on. Yo, what's going on? Who joined us? What's up, Music Man? Just let it flow. What's up, Carolina? Sky Astronomy, hello. Play Dark Side of the Moon. Maybe I should do some covers. Lately I've been trying to not do covers in the past 6 months or so because I get like emails constantly about copyright issues. Every time I play Floyd or something like that, it just puts ads on the video, so try and play originals if I can. Just this lunar view. It's really cool clouds tonight though. But you, no colors anymore. I need you to be true, 'cause I don't want nobody else but you. I want nobody else but you. Tell me plan. Don't tell me you found some other man, because this is the game of life. Not 'cause I tell ya. Oh, welcome to the game of life. Do what you want to do. Playing with the game of life, but not 'cause I tell ya. Oh yeah, welcome to the game of life. Oh, and do what you want to do. Through the diamond sphere, you see the night turn gray. I'll do no damage here. Through the eye of rain. Oh, come on, the price is right, but only if you want to. Oh, we give in our precious light. Oh, and do what you want to do. Yo, what's up, Jim Jones? What's happening? What's up, Quentist? Harva HD. Jim Jones says, where did the nipple come from? I guess you're talking about the lunar belly button, or just in general, the nipple. So the large crater on the moon that looks like that is called Tycho crater, bottom right corner. And how did it get there? Who knows? Who knows, my friend? Who knows? All right, playing some more old tunes. All right. So, feel what you feel. You've got to know when to speak. Better believe me, this is what you seek. Love what you know, you got to learn how not to fall. Better believe me, want to tell you all. Think what you want, but I can't listen to the news. Better believe me, soon we cannot lose. Screw that up. Oh, breathe, how we better believe me, this is how we heal. Oh love, what you don't and know, just knowing not to fall. Better believe me, want to tell you all. Scroll, oh, think what you want, but I don't listen to the blues. Oh, better believe you still we cannot lose. So it's part of the way you school the fool. When I'm inside out, I'm outside up. It's part of the way you school the fool. When I'm inside out, I'm outside up. It's part of the way you school the fool. But it's not my kind of love, yeah. That's a tough one to go right into. A little out of range. Yo, what's going on, Master Watt? What's going on, Jemima Puddle Duck? Law was lurking, but you know I can't resist this melty caramel ice cream. Take a scoop of this and sprinkle it with some happiness. Oh, take a fool and change their mind. You know it's what we need to do. A double scoop for two. Melted high. That's got a nice tone. Thanks, Carolina. This is a ESP guitar, an LTD. Kind of a knockoff ESP, but it's got some nice Seymour Duncan pickups, some humbuckers on it. Hey dude, how you doing? That ended abruptly. All right, little break. I don't have any drinks next to me. I'm gonna go, ooh, c'est quoi ça? Chill out. Okay. Cheers to everybody joining tonight. Thanks so much for always hopping on the stream whenever I get to do it. Appreciate everybody's patience with me and my streams. It's always a pleasure, though. You got this beautiful moon right now. So lucky. I'm gonna throw on some. Let me see what I can put on that I haven't played in a while. Here's something a little new. Like, absolutely, you guys haven't heard this before, but still work in progress. But it's got some vibes. Back on in a few, y'all. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the new people joining. What's up, Angelica? How you doing? Like I said, check out the older videos. You can see some of those transits. Some are like known satellites, others are just, who knows, just random things passing in front of the moon. Leave me a comment in there and I'll try and get back to you about if you have any questions about the setup or whatever. What's happening, Jay Charth? Is this from a cell phone? Are there other higher resolution streams of the moon? Maybe on SLU later? I don't think it's too bad. If a cell phone can do that, then we're in good shape. What's going on, Rockstar? What? What's up, Super Must See TV? Nice to see ya. Nice to Super Must See. Carolina. Cool, just reading through this chat. Rockstar, you changed your icon. That's very noticeable. So interesting. It's been a long time since you changed that one. Carolina, you said you got a first shot of Saturn this year. That's awesome. I've been trying to stay up late to get some Jupiter and Saturn, but it has not been clement weather-wise at that hour for weeks now. But I think it's rising earlier and earlier. It's like one of those things on my to-do lists. Because I got this 11-inch setup on this side so I can finally get a good shot of Jupiter. It's good times. Good times, I gotta say. Jay Charth, maybe you're seeing this on low res, but it's streaming in 4K, so if you weren't being sarcastic earlier, then maybe it's your settings that you have to kind of blast up. It's looking pretty clear from this side. So I feel like we could do some zoomed in shots, but what are y'all thinking? Maybe let's take a little zoomed in portion of the northern regions. Mare Fecunditatis and Mare Crisium. Give the camera a little rest. Honing in right here, got Langrenus crater in the center, the large whitish crater, and then to the left of that Mare Marginis. And left of that is Mare Crisium. Interesting features, seeing a little bit of that kind of libration portion beyond Mare Marginis, the kind of tortured region that we talk about. What's up, Aurelio Hart? How's it going? I was just gonna say hi to Alexandra. What's happening? Just going up the stream. If I haven't said what's up, let me know in the chat, give you a shout out. Appreciate everybody coming through tonight. So let's just settle here on the northern region for a second and then I'll kind of cruise around along the perimeter. You know, it's not as crisp, obviously, as it is when you got a waning moon. Definitely because the illumination from the moon is making it kind of a bit on the bright side, on the washed out side, but not too bad. Nice view of Langrenus, and Mare Fecunditatis got Messier as well. Clouds rolling in right here. Take some shots. Yo, what's up, Cine? How you doing? I'll go back to the zoom shot once the clouds move through. I have myself a little cig. Yeah, no flying witches tonight. Just some flying bugs. Yeah, a little quick message to everybody new who's stopping by the channel for the first time. Check out the description of the video for some links to kind of a little bit about the science behind what I work on, in terms of like Thunderbolts Project and Electric Universe, but of course, just open science and thinking about physics in new ways and presenting the moon without any extraneous elements. Very important for us to learn about our moon. Cool spooky clouds, look at that. J. Char says, looks like the Vivitar I got at Walmart. Vivitar is that the what is it, the 500 millimeter telescopic lens? I think I have that one too. The glass is not so good on that one. So you're gonna get a bunch of aberration, like chromatic aberration, and not such a clear shot from that, if that's the one that you got. Definitely recommend, you know, like doing a little bit of research on what you want to see. And if you want to do some visual observing, you know, you can get these Dobsonian telescopes that are quite cheap right now. Like in the $400 to $500 range, you can get like a nice 8-inch or 10-inch Dobsonian. You can also get like a 6-inch or 8-inch Celestron for about $1,000, and that really can just put you hit the ground running with that. Oh, it's 600X, you said that, I didn't see that, sorry. Yeah, I think I know which one you're talking about though. It's got the doubler on it, the kind of little piece that you add to it. You got fully clouded out right there. Let's see what's going on. Yo, what's going on? Bon dia. It says, cheers, I have an 8-inch Orion Dobsonian reflector. Great to learn on. Yes, it really is. I mean, and it really, like, scopes take like a few months to kind of get a hang of the remote control and kind of, you know, the axis stuff. Especially, I feel like because I used to play video games a bit, that the whole controller situation with the camera and the scope was something that I took to. But it really isn't that complicated. It's a bit daunting when you start. But definitely, yeah. Sometimes like you get sold on these cheaper devices, but the glass that they use is really not very good, and so it's a disappointing experience when you actually get that home. Believe me, I got like a bunch of scopes and lenses that are just collecting dust at this point. Rockstar, yeah, I was just jamming a little bit earlier, but the moon is kind of being finicky, and I'm having a smoke, so I'm just gonna monitor it. I'm gonna monitor it and keep the clouds, keep the visuals going right now. Also, I'm a bit rusty, man. I have not played in a couple of days, so forgive me. Maybe I'll hop on a little bit once it clears. Yeah, and happy Equinox to everybody. It's one of those rare occasions that just kind of came up on us, but I guess it's like a bunch of different things at once. It's a supermoon, so the moon's very close and it appears bigger in the sky. It's also the full moon right now, and it's also the spring equinox all at once. It's one of these, I think the last time it happened was 19 years ago. And it's fascinating. It's really interesting. It's a great time to be doing a backyard or living room scoping from the window. You get to see all these amazing things. I mean, I was showing some people my archived streams where I got like the Mercury transit of the sun, which was crazy. Can't believe that. And then there was Venus going behind the moon during the day. That was back in 2015, which is a really, really cool stream. And then 2 years ago, did the solar eclipse in August. Had a full 4 hours of that. So it's been really radical. Plus this year's past lunar eclipse was just remarkable. What am I smoking? I'm smoking Camel Blues. Getting the blues from the camel. Total poison, but whatever. Nice to have a smoke watching the moon. And chit-chatting with all y'all. All right, look, cleared up just a little bit for us. All right, got nice and crispy. Nice and crispy. Language. All right. No, just cigarettes. Just cigs. Let me grab his guitar. Yo, what's up there, Tom? Nice to see you. Happy full moon. What's going on in the chat? Let's see. Carolina says, nice, I get some great views with a 5-inch Mac. Is that a refractor, right? Jay Charts says, look at the moon pictures on this $99 telescope. Yeah, definitely don't be fooled by that, because it's really tricky what happens on certain Amazon and like certain shops like, what is it? Like Opt or B&H. You get these pictures that people post, and it really is not indicative of what you can do with the telescope. Better off looking at something like the Cloudy Nights forum. Those guys really take it very seriously and post reviews on each scope and show you pictures of how it can really work and like what optimal sky conditions. Certainly don't recommend getting into it with like $100 or $200 thing. Invest in it. Don't invest too much, but in that $1,000 range, you can really just, it's a lifetime investment. Yo, what's up there, David Voy? How you doing? He's a sexy room. Put me on the spot right there. Gonna wax up the board tonight and ride the lunar wave. I don't even know what to play, y'all. Let me find some old jams to jam over. I'll just put some backing tracks here while I think about something. Funky groove in G maybe, or an E minor. Okay, let's try this. All right, that's pretty groovy. Yo, what's up, Burning Heart? Welcome. what's up, Mr. Skunk? Long time. Play some surf jams. Yo, what's going on? Andrew Johnson, you're back. Cool. Who else joining over here? Andre Lopez, when will the moon be 14% bigger? Actually, chat's moving pretty fast. Let me mute this for a sec. Try and get to everybody's comments. Let's go back up a little bit. Nice licks, thank you so much. Killer jams, appreciate it. Boxer says, my bad, had two links up. VB says, way to flesh out that beat, brother. Appreciate it. The moon right now is basically appears larger. That's what the whole supermoon thing is. So it's the perigee and apogee of the moon, depending on where it is in its orbit. Supreme Support Doggo. When does the moon stop? When does this event end? So I've been streaming for like an hour, maybe another 30 or an hour might be going for. That wasn't really English. The moon doesn't stop ever, but the stream will soon. Let's try a different track. C# minor. When does the moon stop getting bigger? So it goes back and forth depending on, like I said, where it is in the orbit. So right now it's pretty large and it'll be moving ever so slowly away from us again on its orbit. Yo, what's up, Tana? How's it? Tana? How you doing? I remember. Hearts, 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 all. Yo, Vision. I was wondering when you'd join us. Happy full moon, my brother. Supreme, so yeah, every day it kind of moves away from us sort of slowly, like a couple of inches. And then it'll turn back around, I guess, towards the end of next month. So every month or so it kind of goes through its apogee and perigee. VB says, do y'all think the moon is just a projection or reflection, or as they say, cheese? Say cheese. I don't know, everybody's got their opinion about the moon. Definitely think it's a real object, not a projection. Could be a reflection, and it's certainly not cheese, otherwise. Worn away ages ago. Would have melted under the solar radiation. We're not a melty cheese moon. I never really got that green cheese thing anyway. It always looked like cement or sand or like oceans to me. I never really thought about it as cheese. So that kind of trope just became a thing somehow. Yeah, it's the first in 19 years where the full moon overlaps with the spring equinox. So it's a pretty special event tonight. Everyone's really familiar with the moon, so it always feels like the moon is pretty stable. We got these cool alignments and interesting times of the year and times of the cycle to take a look at the moon. So we mark these events. I think our ancestors probably used the moon in the way we use Google Calendar today, to kind of schedule things and to get a sense of where they were in time and space. What's up, Red 11? Hello. Oh, right, I think it's that Wallace and Gromit thing, you're right. That really permeated culture. I mean, the movie is really funny, of course, but it's just such a particular thing. I guess they doubled down on the whole myth of the lunar cheese. Yeah, I haven't seen Ellie tonight. Or Dee Dee. Haven't seen Dee Dee. Sorry, I know some of these comments get held for review. It's one of those default things that just went on. BB says, lunar wave kind of justifies the waters above, like the waters in the Bible when they do the kind of creation story. I'll talk a little bit about that for a couple minutes. So I think there's this whole idea about like how the Bible has a story and you have all these verses, but then you have ancient astronomers that have their version of this kind of creation story. And so there's this idea about space being water or liquid. And I think it's a bit of a misnomer, misinterpretation of the fact that, the ether, is talked about almost like a big ocean in ancient texts. And I feel like it's really, what they talk about with the waters above is really the kind of concept of the waters or the oceans that travel in between the stars and the planets, but really it's not like water as we know it on Earth. And if you look into stuff like the plasma cosmology and electric universe, it'll talk about how essentially there is some form of liquid in space, but it's not H2O as we know it, or water that will drip, or like this idea that there are oceans and rains and stuff like that, I feel is a misinterpretation of some historical event that happened. And so the event, possibly in some sort of stories occur when Saturn exploded in the realm of like 7,000 to 12,000 years ago and dumped a whole amount of water onto Earth and Mars in this massive explosion. And so there's a story about that. So it possibly could have coincided with an event like that from the heavens where we got deluges and massive flooding and storms, and that was interpreted as the will of God. So I feel some stories kind of just change actual events into these parables and myths, and it's important to just take those with a grain of salt, but also not take them, but take them seriously as well, because they are stories, and that makes our culture, I feel. Jemima says it's like amniotic fluid. Yeah, like imagine we're little cells on Earth, and then all the planets and stars are little cells inside like a giant cell itself, and then it just keeps going. And so this kind of ether, or the space in between planets and stars, is something that is not really empty. It's actually kind of this ebbing and flowing energy ocean, which you could call any number of things. Let's see, J Chart says, what about astral projection? Do you astral project? So I think that's also one of those things where it's like, can you do this or can you do that? I feel like the entire notion of existence involves things like telepathy, telekinesis, and things like astral projection happen pretty regularly, in fact. I think part of what makes it so like either appealing to talk about or kind of sinister sounding is just because it's talked about as this, oh my god, it's so weird type of thing. But in fact, we constantly astral project. Empathy, in a way, is astral projection, where you project your mind into somebody else's mind and you feel the way they would feel, or you can imagine how they would feel. I feel like, have I said feel enough? I think that that could be interpreted as astral projection in a certain way, or out-of-body experiences. So I don't think it's those weird kind of like Nat Geo shows type of out-of-body astral projection, but I'm certain I've laid in bed at night and sent my mind to the depths of space and to other parts of the world and to other people's minds, and arguably that's some sort of projection. So I'm going to set up, fix the image just a little bit because it is starting to get dim from the windowsill. I'm going to move the scope a bit to the left. JChar says, my TV is 1080p, so maybe the resolution is getting lost in translation. This looks like binoculars from here. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with your connection, but I hope I can validate it with other people's... other people, let me know if it's looking all right to you. I know it just got a little bit smaller because I have to adjust the camera, but it should be clear still. Pause this. All right, I got to delete a few files and set up a scope. I'll be right back. Hey, what's up, everybody? All right, adjusted the scope a little bit. It's looking nice and sharp right now. Yeah, what's up, everybody joining now? What's up, Don Milligan? Lovely, thanks for joining. Thanks for the comment. What's up, Forever Camila? It's cloudy for me. Sorry to hear that. What's up, Doggo? How you doing? What's up, Zorro? Looks like an eyeball. Sometimes it does. BB says the beauty as humans is to question and wonder, but ultimately be grateful of the majesty and greatness that is God the Father, or as some call it, the source. Yeah, I think we all have a different version of this kind of overseer or orchestrator, or the conductor of the universe, if you want to call it. Somebody or someone or something. Maybe a grand artificial intelligence, or just a grand intelligence rather. So you don't have to necessarily believe in the old gods of our history if you want to have a spiritual side. So I'm okay with everybody's version of it, really, at this point. As long as people are asking the right questions and kind of moving things forward. Hey, what's going on, Victor? How you doing? What's up, Andy Cowley? Hi. Welcome and happy full moon. So I'm just getting a couple of minutes of some nice footage here. Deleted some of the older clips that were cloudy, and just gonna get this nice centered view, and then maybe we can zoom in just a bit. Forever Camila says, why is it called the super worm, quote unquote, moon? So the idea behind like the worm moon or the cold moon or the wolf moon, things like that, are basically based on, at least as far as I understand, Native American or Indian heritage, where they call the moon by a certain type of harvesting season or planting season. So it's kind of referential to almanac style progress, I guess is the way, or not progress, but like an almanac lunar calendar. And so they would have these certain names for different moons that referred to, like harvesting or planting or sowing. And so worm moon, I believe, is like the worms are coming out of the ground after the frost, is the basic understanding. What's up, 24/7 live Arizona skies? Good evening. Jay Charth says there's only one version. It is all one mind. That's a great point. That definitely could be the case. That we're all these little irises, these little like seeing, like tiny little cells observing the universe as individual pieces, but in fact we're just one large creature thinking. What's up, Epic Trick Shotter? Live in Jersey. Will I still be able to see it? What is it that you're talking about? I hope you can see the footage right now. Is that Cromwell? VB says, never saw the Sea of Tranquility up close. Can you zoom into it for a second? Absolutely. Let's do that. So before I zoom in, I'll just highlight the regions with a little red marker. Alright, so let's get our little zoom device over here. I'm going to zoom in right here. This is Sea of Tranquility, Sea of Serenity, and then to the right of that is Sea of Tranquility. So this is the widest shot from the 11-inch, but going in with a 2x camera zoom, so it's like a wide shot but zoomed in. Sitting right here comfortably between Sea of Serenity and Sea of Tranquility. It's not as clear as it could be. Typically, when you have a full moon, the amount of brightness coming off is hard to really focus. So do what we can, but this is a close-up shot of Sea of Tranquility. Dead center of the screen, you can see the kind of darker bluish gray hues. We're on this lost arch. Going out to my regs. Again, hope you all are doing great. Let me know if you're new in the chat and you have any questions. I would also recommend taking a look at the description of the video for links and check out some of my archive playlists if you want to see like transits or ISS and eclipses and such. I encourage you to check that out. J-Chart, can you zoom in less, like 2x? So this is the widest shot I can get. I'll explain what's going on. So typically you have like the camera setup that goes directly to the scope, but with an 11-inch aperture you get like way too close up to the moon, so you can't really get the full shot of the moon on the screen. So what I have is this thing called a focal reducer, which reduces which extends kind of the focal length of the telescope. Wait, does it extend it? No, it shortens the focal length down to a 6.3 aperture. And using that kind of that piece of glass, essentially you can zoom out a bit more using the 11-inch, so we get to see this wide shot. And so what I'm doing here is just using the camera to kind of double up on this exact image. So I don't think there's really a halfway point unless I switched up the lens. Yo, Carolina, take it easy. Have a great night. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out. I'm gonna go back to the wide shot. Like I said, during full moons it's tough to get nice detail, so usually the shot is better if you just stay wide. Zora says, what are the white glowing dots on the moon? So there are all these little craters and craterlets on the moon that kind of glow brightly at different phases. And so especially now you can kind of see these little glinting, like either peaks, you know, catching a little bit of the sunlight reflecting off the moon. But there are also regions on the moon where I feel like there's some sort of atmospheric, I guess, interaction or off-gassing on the surface of the moon that actually glows a bit more brightly, depending on the gases that are in the atmosphere. And so that, I'm sure, affects a little bit of the reflecting of the moonlight. What's up now here, man? Says, apparently now this is a supermoon. It certainly is. Right now it's at 99, sorry, let me double check that. It's at 99.8% illuminated, and it is at phase 1, so it's a full moon. And it's also a supermoon. So yeah, it says, is it an actual supermoon? It certainly is, yep. You know, in terms of like what we agree upon as super, it's kind of this, also like the word super has weird connotations. It just means a larger, almost a perceived size differential. So I don't know if it's super, it's just larger. Am I on PC, Android, or Mac? Is this just a camera driver? No, so this is like a 4K capture card where you run the camera into the capture card, and then the capture card processes all the data and sends it to Open Broadcaster, and so I can stream 4K at 30 frames per second. It takes a lot of processing power to do that, so having an external card is really the only way to go there. Small Squishy says, after this stream, when will you stream again? So I typically get, I'm able to kind of stream the moon from like a few days ago, so like slightly before full, until like, I don't know, another week I can probably stream. So I'll try and do it around the same time tomorrow if the weather is clement. Otherwise, I do it when I can, really. You know, it's a combination of having time and also being able to see the moon, and then, yeah, it's a little bit complicated, but I do it whenever I can. So just hit the subscription thing with the little bell, and you'll get a notification for when I go live next. That's probably the best way to do it. Sometimes it's just not even possible to scope, so I just watch the moon from the porch, and I hope everyone is getting their own live, in real life view. Am I on PC or Android? I'm actually, yeah, like I said, I'm on So I use the audio from my Mac and I stream that in, and the PC is processing the 4K video. So it's kind of a combination of both. What's up, Daniel Young says, what happened? In terms of, I don't know what you're asking about, but the moon should be right there. VB says, my first time chatting. Thanks, I'll be tuning in again soon. Keep those jazzy licks fresh and that telescope smudge free, my brother. Thanks so much, VB. Have a good night. Thanks for stopping by. And I will do as you said. Yo, what's up there, Tammy? Good to see you. Happy full moon. Let me know if there are any topics you want me to talk about. Like, I typically kind of go off on my rants about Electric Universe or the state of politics in space and where we are in the moon race. But I'm kind of feeling mellow tonight, so let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, I'm just going to be chilling with y'all, just shooting the crap and watching this for another, I don't know, maybe another 30 minutes I got before I lose view. Much love, Tammy. Amber Campo says, I can't see outside. It's too bright outside. It's too bright. At least you can see it. I don't know, maybe wear some sunglasses outside. It rained today and the clouds are covering. Yeah, I thought it was going to be really clouded out. It's been pretty bad here down South Florida, but luckily, one more full moon that I get to stream for y'all. It's always good. Yo, Don Milligan says, those of us on the West Coast are still waiting to see this. It's fun getting a sneak preview. Oh, hell yeah, I didn't even think about it like that, but yeah. Kind of up on the East Coast right here. Daniel says, never mind, I know what happened, lol. Probably something with your computer. Lil T4 Talan says, the clouds are covering it. I guess where you're at. Let's see. J-Charth. Where are we at? J-Charth says, you should be able to see. Let's see. You should be able to adjust the video driver. I would like to see the moon edge to edge on my screen. 100% moon. I could actually do that, but I don't want to mess with the shot right now. I usually kind of stretch the image, but this is actually 100%, so scaling it up kind of makes it even more blurry. So this is because it's a crop sensor camera. It's a 3/4 crop sensor, so it kind of gets that little bit of that black bars. Dank memes, what's going on? Lucky. Sean Westerhoff says, can't see it in Indiana, so boo. Tammy says, the moon is effing amazing. I agree. Dank meme says, here in North Carolina, it's rainy and foggy, can't see it. Well, that's why I got the stream going for y'all. Music, the view, the chat, I love it. I love it too. It's something I really enjoy doing. Sometimes I wish I could do it all the time. Like back a couple of years ago, I tried to do like a full month of the moon. I did like 20 some odd streams in a row. It was super, like really exciting and fun, but man, exhausting for sure. It's one of these things you kind of have to like let the skies and let the mood guide my scoping. So when I do it, it's really, like, I'll give you some stories just because there are a lot of captures I have from way back in the day, way back, like a year or two ago, where I would set up and I would immediately capture this incredible transit or like an airplane going across the moon or the lunar wave or like a weird satellite. And I feel like it's very synchronistic and serendipitous in certain ways. And there are some nights where like it's just not gonna happen, and I let it go. I'm like, I'm not gonna sit here and force it. So even today I was like, oh man, is it gonna really be cloudy? Is that the kind of story it's gonna tell and not let me do the supermoon? But it cleared up, and yeah, serendipitous. What are your thoughts on time travel, says Sensei Camilo? So, I don't know, I gotta say, like, I don't think about time travel very often because I think the tropes in movies that explain and use time travel are really like not touching upon the broader concept of time, really. time travel is usually treated like an arrow of time where it's directional and you kind of go along this timeline. And then there are stories that talk about cyclical time and how you can remember the future. I kind of like that thought a bit more, about how our reference is to time is really just gauging the amount of time it takes between between events that create patterns, and we notice these patterns and we use time to refer to these patterns. But in fact, we don't know if there really is such a thing called time, and we also don't know if time is really directional. So I feel like there's a lot to be discussed in terms of time travel. Not a lot of real data on it. Now, does that mean that we won't ever find out? I think we will, or at least I think there are certain experiments that you can do to kind of test this theory. But I think it has to do a lot with consciousness and how we perceive reality and perceive time. And when you approach it from that perspective, there are a lot of different ways to approach time travel. One of which is, the fact that we remember things and that we carry memories with us, and then we can pull them up at any point. And the same thing with saving files to Dropbox, for example. You're archiving information, and then you can access this information that was from a certain time period. So can you consider that time traveling in a way? It always feels like that when you kind of go back through all your old emails and files. That's a little bit on time travel, but yeah, what do you think about time travel? Let me just jump up here a little bit. Thoughts on Minnesota? Lil Talan, what's going on, Minnesota? Maylin May, how's it going? Says the moon has a blue ring around it right now. Yeah, so typically when weather patterns kind of cloudy fronts move through, you kind of get this radiation from the moon, or it looks like radiation from the moon that kind of affects the crystals in our atmosphere, like either the dust and the water in our atmosphere, and that glints off in a kind of radial torus around the moon. And we see it more defined at the most dense point of this magnetic ring around the moon. But essentially, it's really from the moon all the way outwards, we're getting radiation. Blue Star 712, what's going on? Hey there, hey. Sensei says, do I believe in werewolves or skinwalkers? I don't know about human-animal hybridization, but in fact, I don't know. The fact is there are so many creatures that look like humans, and I think a cooler way to look at it is maybe we're all human at some level. So, consciousness of plants and dolphins and life forms are not really different life forms. They're all just a version of human sentience. So maybe there were human animals at some point, but maybe werewolves were just a metaphor for how people treated one another. Same thing with vampires, and just essentially making movies about monsters and referring to either poor people or, foreigners. I think a bit of it is kind of a misnomer, or just an archetype, an archetype. All right, let's keep going. That was awesome. Love how hard you work. Thanks, Tammy. Sean says, how big is that impact site on the side, you think? So the large crater to the bottom right corner, Tycho crater, is around 90 kilometers across and about 10 kilometers deep, I want to say. 10,000 feet tall. Actually, I'm going to get those dimensions real quick, so I'm not just making things up. Where are you at, Tycho? Named after Tycho Brahe. It's 86 kilometers across and 14,000 feet tall is the large kind of belly button, I guess, of the moon, with the three large rays coming off of it, or more than three, but the really noticeable ones. All right, got pine trees all around my house, almost impossible to see it, says Jay Charth. Super must see, how's my shoulder these days? It's all right. You know, using it a lot. It's one of those kind of like, also my hernia, it's like one of those things that just, you get older and things start to ache a bit, but I kind of stay positive, and that's really the best thing that I've found in terms of healing. Let's see. Oh, the hell with it all. Since Camilla says Kismet. I think I've heard that before. Best light show, thank you. Reincarnation is, I'm trying to get back to all these comments where I was talking. All right, when is it actually going to start turning red, says the demon. So usually red moons or like blood moons are either are lunar eclipses. Like if you check out last month's or the month before, I think it was January, February, I did a lunar eclipse stream, and that's where the moon actually had a red hue to it, and it was because it was passing through the atmospheric turbulence of Earth, and you get this kind of reddish hue in optical terms. But right now, in terms of the supermoon, there's no reason for it to actually turn red. So it's just as it is right now, super. It's totally super right now and full, and we get to see it, which is really the most remarkable part. Jemima says, Matt at Quantum of Science, Quantum of Conscience, Conscience, yeah. Is it conscience or conscious? Quantum of Conscience makes a great point. If the same side of the moon always faces Earth, how come it's covered in craters? That's a great question, because the idea of the lunar surface being impacted by these large bombardment, these phases of bombardment of meteor showers, you'd think that the moon actually had a different rotational axis maybe at a certain point, or maybe it was facing away from us. The other idea that I really think is more likely the case is that, there's an argument to be made as to whether these are impact craters from a meteor strike or from interaction between planets and creating like these electric arcing thunderbolts which carve out surfaces of planets. So I lean on that side. Some people really are stuck to this idea that the moon and all craters in our solar system are really, or that we can see, are created by impacts. And so I feel like if it's not impact and it's these electric arcs, then it's very possible that the lunar surface was carved out by its interaction with Earth when the moon was either captured by Earth or when the moon came in contact with the Earth's magnetosphere, and then they kind of locked into place. While this was happening, they probably exchanged massive lightning bolts and carved each other's surfaces in a way. So I wonder really, and this is pure speculation on my part, but if you look at all the features that we see on Earth, there aren't really remnants of the actual impact object itself, but we see all these crater type features. So I have some links in the description of the video for Thunderbolts project if you're interested in like electric discharge machining, like creating surfaces of planets. That's sort of where I lean. So maybe we don't even have to think about like why the moon would be cratered if it was facing Earth. But I don't really have an answer to that one either. So if it was impact craters, that's really fascinating, because you'd think that the moon would kind of have a similar far side. And the kind of far side images that we've seen so far really show a different type of surface. All right, sorry, I'm kind of trying to get caught up here. Dunce the Doctor says, what the F am I supposed to be looking at here? You're supposed to be looking at the full moon. Hope you can see that. Super Must See said, cool, I broke my leg in 2017 and it's still hurting. Yeah, man, I feel that. Like, just those aches stay with you. And I guess the body is always trying to heal. Marshall Craft says, why do you reject the possibility that the physical world does exist outside the fact that the world, sorry, let's try that again. Why do you reject the possibility that the physical world does exist outside of the fact that, sure, what you think of it is only an interpretation of your senses? I don't think I reject the possibility, Marshall Craft. I'm open to like actually a lot of possibilities, so not really stuck on one. Not exactly sure how to respond to that, but It is also an interpretation of my own. Who knows if it's just my dream or my illusion that I see in space, and everybody is a factor of my dream. We can't really tell that for sure. Don Milligan says, have you ever thought of doing live meteor shower streams? That would be awesome as well. I have the whole setup for it, but I've tried in the past, and it's one of these things where the skies are never really dark enough, one, and clear enough to really kind of capture them. The other thing is I tend to stream with a telescope, and that's not really the best way to capture meteor showers. You kind of want like a wide shot lens, and I don't do that very often, but maybe sometime in the future. I definitely have the gear to do it. Cincy Camilla says, do you think the latest meteorite that hit the moon made it ring like a bell, like when they crashed the satellite into it? Do you know if they left equipment to study the bell ring? So things like the moon ringing and the idea of a hollow moon and a hollow earth are things that also have a lot of weird stories behind it that are hard to interpret. But if you look at the physics behind it, there are some real implications as to maybe the fact that like all celestial bodies and stars and planets are really hollow in some degree or another. So they have a central core, like a nucleus, and then there's a lot of space. And then magnetism kind of defines gravity and the way planets and celestial bodies hold together. So you have this nucleus core, and then you have like a lot of inner space, and then you have the mantle or the crust. And so this is definitely something that I know geologists will say, oh, we did P waves and F waves, and we're sure that there's a nickel iron liquid molten core. But there are a lot of experiments that are misinterpreted and also could be discussed further, I think. So it's very possible that the moon is hollow to some degree. Ring my bell. Can you play catch before you end the stream? Hell yeah, I can play catch. I can play that live, maybe. Mary says, am I familiar with concentric wave singularity? Actually, I don't think I know that specific phrase. Concentric wave singularity, interesting. Can you elaborate a little bit, Mary? I think like the idea of concentric waves, almost like surface advection, is something that happens on the sun, like the ripple waves, or like waves that crash, or like ripples in a pond that transverse waves. Maybe that's what they're talking about. Jemima says, yeah, electric arcs make sense, and the rest, great speculative answer. For me, it's like one of those things back in the day when I was really deep into conspiracies. As soon as I saw these laboratory experiments with some citizen scientists blasting clay and sand and rubble with, 70,000 volt discharges with metallic plates, and you can see all these amazing fractal patterns emerge very quickly. The implications are really massive, because you think that like we have this version of reality where it takes long periods of time, like on the scales of 10 million to 100 million years to billions of years for features to appear, like erosion features, fossilization, etc. But the idea behind electric blasting is that these things could have taken a lot less time to form. And further, things like petrification and fossilization could be explained much more readily with this the idea of really a very high impact blast zapping like a human being that's made out of iron and water and these carbon elements, and then essentially performing natural alchemy and turning this carbon vessel into essentially like petrified stone and wood, and transmogrifying the elements to some degree. So you have these fish caught in mid-bite and mid-swim. You have animals almost frozen in mid-step, and you wonder if this really happened because of like a giant impact 60 million years ago or whatever, where the debris or the atmosphere turned these things into stone. But really, these things happened almost instantaneously. And so Peter Mungo Jupp talks about it on the Thunderbolts project, about how this thing of instant fossilization might have happened, and further that like erosion features, mountains, carvings, sand dunes, craters, impact, stuff like that we thought were impact were really via electric discharge arcing. So that's where I mean, it is speculative, but you can really see this in the laboratory. So that's why I lean that way. Daniel Young says, where are you filming this? I can't see anything, lol. Where are you at, Daniel? I'm filming this from South Florida and got the full moon in sight. as far as I can see. We're losing the view a little bit. The clouds are rolling in, but you know. All right, Pagan and Proud says Tammy Sublet. Honestly, Marvis says, how do you feel about opportunity dying on Mars? I feel, here's my stupid joke. I feel sadder about the opportunity in science on Earth right now. But really, I don't know. I mean, the whole Mars rover program is both incredible and fascinating, but also really, in a way, depressing and demoralizing because, you know, we really don't have anything to do with those programs. We just have to watch them transpire. We have no active stake in them except to just create a myth. But really the science behind it is what's magical. I mean, the idea that Mars is 50 million miles away and yet there's like a Johnny 5 robot sending us JPEGs from the surface is freaking remarkable. It almost defies understanding. So I think about that more so than I think about like the rovers. I'm gonna blast up this aperture a little bit so we can see it. I think I'm getting some clouds here. It's telling me to start winding down. Zorro says, I think that the moon is a giant eyeball and it's looking at the stars whose light is being focused on a giant's retina, and we are the world, and we and the world are the images formed. So I like that idea. I thought about it. I thought about that a lot, where potentially that we live inside the eyeball of a giant. And we live in the little lens in front of the eyeball, and light that comes in essentially refracts and reflects into these little diamonds, and that's what people are, and that's what we see as reality, is there are these reflections of the light inside a giant's eyeball. So I really like that idea. Hard to tell. Camila says, what books am I reading now, or are you still working on the Kepler book? To be honest, I've actually just been working at my working at music and working at my job, and I have not really read anything of note since that book. But I've read that book a bunch of times, trying to like really decipher what they were talking about. There's a bit of nebulousness to their conceit in that book, but that's the last thing I read. Would I consider a book club where we all read the same book and comment on it? That's a cool idea, but I feel like there'd be a lot of pressure for me to actually read it and call into session a book club group. And I think I just have to play it by ear. Hey, you're welcome. I'm glad I answered everybody's questions. Let me know if I missed anything. Let's see. Mary Quite says, it is a water wave that looks exactly like a moon crater. So I think, you know, recursive geometry is rife. I answered somebody today who left me a comment about how, like, what do I believe that there's a hexagon at the North Pole of Saturn? So I responded very briefly, but I can talk about it a bit further here, is the fact that, like, we think that, oh my God, hexagons are such an ordered geometric shape. There's no reason, like, it's so weird for a hexagon, for example, to appear in reality. But in fact, like, it's actually a very natural form that occurs. And geometry in our universe is rife. So we have all these different shapes that look like cubes and fractals and hexagons. So I think that that the fact that, like, you can have a water crown or like a droplet hit the water and create these ripples and have it look like a crater would make a lot of sense, because it's just a different form of matter being run through by all these dielectric magnetic forces, which have inherently the geometry baked in. So these forms in water and earth and space manifest as shapes that we perceive as geometry. Let's see, what is Kenneth says, thunderbolts. Yeah, I think the word is a little bit tricky, but really what it is the idea behind the electric universe. What they say in terms of the planetary interaction makes a lot of sense. So you have charged bodies in the solar system, and instead of them being drawn to each other or, you know, impacting one another based on accretion disk or basically based on the pull of gravity, really, the idea is that magnetism is a force that is a byproduct of electromagnetism, and so each planetary and celestial body has its magnetic field, and when very supercharged magnetic fields from each body, let's say a comet and a planet or a planet and a planet, or moons in a planet, for example, when they get too close, there's some sort of either discharge that happens in its ionic, like magnetic field, and that's where something like an electric arc, or what we see as thunderbolts on Earth, or lightning bolts on Earth, could be these giant versions of lightning bolts in space. And the reason we've never thought about it that way in terms of culture is because the idea from the powers that be is that space is electrically neutral and plays a very insignificant role in space. That's possible, but really what the evidence is showing is that all these comets and asteroids and meteors and planets almost interact solely based on electromagnetic interaction and electrical interaction in terms of the aurora, in terms of solar wind. These things are all electrical events. So it's not a huge stretch for me to think that like the moon and the Earth got in close contact at a certain point and they exchanged these massive lightning bolts and they carved out each other's surfaces, versus this idea that there was some event, you know, a billion years ago where there was a huge meteor shower that we don't know, you know, that came from the origins of the universe from outside the Kuiper belt and comes in and kind of creates the surface of the moon out of nowhere and doesn't really affect the Earth in a certain way. That seems much like a much bigger jump in logic than the fact that two planets interact and zap each other. That's the simple way of looking at it. So lost the moon view. I think that's about it for me tonight. It was a nice stream being back after a while. Good to see all the regular peeps. I'm gonna play Catch for y'all before I go. And let's see, Authentic Max, what's up, what's up? Yeah, I think we've lost view, so what I'm gonna do right here, actually there. It's a little bit of moon in the background, got the clouds. Yo, what's up, Astro Live channel? How you doing? Happy Equinox. I'm just about winding it up here, losing the moon to the clouds and the windowsill. Authentic Max, you had a question. Let's see. What's up? I just want to ask what your thoughts are on the other side of the moon and the craters that look somewhat evenly spaced with a sort of honeycomb design formation. So same sort of thing, like lightning bolts are of different types of magnitude, right? You can have like a super big blast of lightning and you can have these tiny little filamentary lightning bolts. So again, where I come from, I think that like it wasn't like this massive meteor shower with different sized meteors. It might have been like an impact, like an electrical arcing interaction that it carved, you know, large craters and small craters based on this little arcing filament between the two planets. And if you look at it in the laboratory, the Billy Elverton stuff, the Too Tough 2, and some of the videos from Thunderbolt's project, you'll see that these things happen in real life. We can reproduce these features almost exactly. One particular feature that really sold it for me is there are these little nodules, like little balls that are created in the center of certain craters that we've seen on Mars, and there's really almost no way for that to occur except to have like a bubbling or boiling type of effect where the center of the impact or arcing discharge creates like this nodule. So it's very, very particular type of feature that has been created in the laboratory using electrical discharge. Jemima says, sounds reasonable, so why is the Earth not similar? I don't know, I think maybe because the Earth has all this greenery and fauna and like we don't get to see it exactly as we see the moon where it's stripped down to the bare surface and you can kind of like really get a good look at it. But I wonder if you got rid of all the greenery and water on Earth and you looked at it like that, I think you would see a lot of similarities actually. I mean, if you look at Ceres or Mimas or Titan or any of the moons or planets, they all really have very similar features to our moon. So you think like, oh, are they all going through this bombardment phase? Are these impact craters so consistent that they all create these little circles and chains of craters? And there are a lot of features, for example, like the peaks of craters in the center. I could go on and on about that, but I definitely, if you think at all what I'm saying is interesting, go check out some of the videos, and maybe on another stream you can ask about it and chat more. Astro Live channel says it's pretty crazy in the news with Mercury being the closest planet to Earth. I guess Mercury retrograde is what you're talking about? Maybe the madness that's happening now? The two-planet thing is true, says Tammy. Man, I don't know. Maybe it is, but that's kind of... It makes me feel calm to think about it in that way, even though it's really scary that planets can interact like that. It makes it a lot more like concrete in terms of how we can think about cosmic interaction between bodies versus, oh my god, space is totally electrically neutral, it's a vacuum, it's water. Like, there are all these really weird ways of describing space, but in fact we have this moon that's directly tied to us with these filaments. Loony, since Camilla says, Mary, when are you going to start posting videos? All right. So we lost the moon view. I'm gonna put like a clip from from what I recorded, so it's not black. Actually, check this out. This is from last month when I was trying to last stream I did. I waited up pretty late to try and capture Jupiter, and I got a little shot of Mars coming up in the east. So this is a little view of, actually no, it's not Mars, this is Jupiter, as I thought. But I thought that was Mars for a second. So Jupiter's kind of glinting off the lens right there, but that's a quick shot of Jupiter with the 4 Galilean moons, Io, Ganymede, Europa, and Callisto. And I'll play some catch for us. Call it a night. Thanks for all the cool questions, y'all. I appreciate it. I hope I answered everybody clearly. Zora says the electrical arcing has to be neurons firing in the giant's brain. Cool, man. I love that thought process. I think about that too. I mean, like we're little neurons interacting with one another. You know, we might not see, you know, when they say sparks fly or like, you know, but you also even have that kind of idea that like when you touch like a doorknob or you touch somebody else's finger and you have static electricity, what is that? You know, that's like a tiny little lightning bolt that is from two, you know, charged bodies or charged cells. And so it's not hard to see that on a much larger scale. All right, catch. I left home at 17. Couldn't tell you I was living the dream. What could I do? For a while I played the field. How could I prove the hidden yield without the blues to fear? My heart was cool and left no residue. Oh, catch me if you fall, catch me when you're low. The moon goes high enough, like friends you used to know. Catch me if you fall, catch me when you're low. It's a simulation. Wake up in solitary. Wake up, it's imaginary. Man, don't you know your life is worth more than this? Catch me if you fall. Catch me when you're low. High enough, like love you used know. Oh, catch me if you fall. Oh, catch me when you're low. It's a simulation. Wake up in solitary. Wake up, it's January, man. Don't you know your life is worth more than this? Yeah. Oh, what would you have me do? It's stimulation. Wake up in solitary. Wake up, it's imaginary, man. Don't you know your life is worth more than this? I wandered through this dream, lie awake from my sinking body. Got dragged into this place, back from time and space. I was in line for another party. When Mama done came along, she asked me where the hell I thought I was going. Said I got nothing to hide, and nowhere sounds pretty good to me. I'm staying with the dream, I'll make believe. In the light of the moon, come down. Pretty mama, oh, don't make it come round. And the depth of your frequency star. Don't make me tell lies in the light of the moon. Now I would steal your heart, steal your heart. In the light of the moon, I would steal your heart, steal your heart. Welcome to the greatest show on earth. It was your lively intervention, with a favorite since birth, the longest chain in my imagination. And if you speculate the worth of a lifetime in search of good intentions, you'll find out what to do. If you don't, man, then you're screwed. You'll burn in search of the truth and make believe in the light of the moon. Oh, I will steal your heart, steal your heart. Steal your heart, steal your heart. In the light of the moon, I will steal your heart, steal your heart. In the light of the moon. that story, it's always gonna make believe. Oh, that story, it's gonna make believe. Oh, your story, that story. All right. Yeah, a bit rocky tonight, man. My voice is a bit tight, but that was fun. Thank you all again for hanging out, and have an excellent start to your spring and full moon and rest of your week. It's like midweek, huh? Let me know if you have anything left to say in the chat room, if you want to shout out. Thanks again to all the new people hanging out. Again, hit that bell if you want to know when I go live. And yeah. Let's play a song to go out, and I'll have a last smoke with y'all. What do we close it out on? Of the water, because we all live in space and drift among the stars. So be kind to everyone that you meet and teach. Spread the love. Peace, everybody. Have a great night. Catch y'all soon. Bye.